So today I wanted to go over a deck that personally has been absolutely outrageous at the moment, and that is going to be coming in with the Eevee Groove, Sylveon, and also the Charizard, the Stoke Charizard that does massive damage. Now, the big thing with this, and I think it goes to be said with a lot of the top decks that you'll go through, from Buzzwole to obviously Sylveon, Solgaleo, and Incineroar, there's loads that you can do with. It's not as if this is a one deck, everything is it. Like when we got the game first came out, obviously Mewtwo was kind of like number one. It just wasn't beat. Mewtwo, Pikachu were the only two that really mattered. Now there is so many, but I do think for me one of the most important decks is going to be this one. And you want to keep this in your back pocket. If you don't use it, you're trying something else, then make sure that you are utilizing at least some of this and kind of seeing where you can go with it. Now, it's a few interchangeable stuff when it comes to the actual kind of deck of it, but I think they've pretty much got what you need down to a T here. So if you do look at the Pokemon in themselves, we've got a Flareon just as a main extra, just in case. You are going with the Charmander and Charizard, and then not having the Charmeleon, and instead having the Rare Candy. This was a great addition if you are back from Pokemon Pocket. If you've not utilized any of this prior, then obviously the Rare Candy is a smashing one to get the Charmander straight to the Charizard on your second turn. You can't do this on the first turn, obviously, and Charmander does need to be in play for at least a turn, but it's really good to get that going. Now, with this Charizard EX, it's a perfect one, to be honest. It's the Stoke, get a couple of energy on him, straight to that artillery, and you do 150 every time. It is a massive hitter with very few Pokemon that can truly withstand actually being able to attack it, to be honest. That's just the be-all and end-all of it. You look through all of the decks that we've got, which obviously if we go through here, we can show you that they're kind of literally most Pokemon, if we can go through an advanced search, I'm assuming we've got a minimum. Say we go a minimum of 100. I'm assuming we can have. So in fact, if we go a minimum of, say we go 150, we go 160 in fact, we know that it's going to take at least a cape or something for anybody below. But these are kind of the Pokemon, it would take at least 2 turns. Obviously, some of the grass, it's going to take straight off the bat. But like someone like Blastoise, it would take 2 turns. Gengar, and we're starting to get there. Like, these are all relatively standard ones. We're obviously seeing a lot more 160s, 170s. Love the artworks as well, I must admit. If I wanted to make Pokemon cards, I would definitely be making these. But as you kind of see, you've got the Tinkaton. You've obviously got Decidueye, Incineroar. And as we go further down, Solgaleo with the 180. I don't actually know who the highest one is. I want to say 180 is still the absolute highest. Let's certainly have a look, because naturally you can do kind of an EX damage where you do plus 20, and then obviously you can have tools and everything that help, and also weakness. But you've got 180 on a lot of these. I don't think there is anybody with any higher than 180. So let's go 185, because I know they don't do 5s. We've got 190. So Venusaur is actually the highest, but if we was to do this, you do 170 on damage, 190 if you have an EX where it's a plus 20. Obviously, it's 180 if you use Giovanni, but you can get a plus 20 on your attacks, and it would do the 190. So technically, Venusaur could be KO'd in 1 with 1 artillery from Charizard. So just something interesting to throw in the back pocket. Now, the reason for Sylveon in this deck is obviously to be able to get through your deck quicker and quicker. That's going to be the whole point of it. Obviously, again, you could go for tools if you really wanted to, but with the Pokemon of 2 Charmanders, 2 Charizards, 2 Sylveons, 2 Eevees, and 1 Flareon, they're going to have to be the must. You then got the 2 Rare Candy, 2 Pokeballs, 2 Professor Research. They have to be the must. I think the 1 Pokemon communication is valid. I do think that's a good one as a Justin, because what you don't want is to get the Charmander, get the Sylveon, no Eevee, no Charizard. Like, you need to have that kind of wiggle room. You can't just leave a match every time that you don't quite get the draw. So having that could be a good one for the end. Obviously, red, you could go with a Sabrina. You could go with somebody else. But obviously, this is mainly for that damage, like I was saying, with the 20 extra if you come up against a 190 Venusaur. Granted, before you get to that Venusaur, more than likely you've done damage at some point, but you've got that. Obviously, Guzma, I do think is a really good one with a lot of tools going about right now, especially with like the Poison Barb, with the Cape, with obviously the Rocky Helmet. It's a good one if you needed to attack it without taking any damage. You could throw that on as a support card, which is always nice. And Lily is definitely one that I would consider 100% of the time, because obviously the heal 60 for a stage 2 Pokemon is massive. It's a huge one to have, and you can have it twice, so you basically can heal one of these at least for 120, or both of them for 60 if needed, which is a massive health increase anyway, and it's what a lot of the stage 2 could potentially have. If your main attribute is to get a Dragonite in, is to get a Venusaur, a Blastoise, Lily's going to be a fantastic one to help with that. And that's going to be the deck for it right now. Now there's obviously a few more decks that you can kind of throw in with this. Obviously if you go into the Charizard deck in itself, there's a lot of Charizard in there, and also a lot of kind of different decks that you could throw together. So obviously you've got the Charizard and Sylveon. If you go, also you've got Sylveon Greninja. Flareon, I believe, has a couple of Charizards in it as well, which is pretty standard across the board. You'd kind of expect that, to be honest. But it is always an interesting one to see where you could see more of the Charizards. Obviously Moltres was a big one, and then obviously you'll see a few more that kind of throw themselves in if you are specifically just looking at Charizard. Other than that, Sylveon, like I say, has got a few others that we'll kind of go through and have a look with as well. So leave a comment down below of your favorite deck. Make sure you like and subscribe on this, and I'll catch you all for that next one. Peace.